Welcome, everyone, back to everything you wanted to know about the Silva method. And today, if you have read the book, if you have done research online, the book that Ken is holding up, if you have maybe even attended a Silva class or a workshop and have questions about one of the key problem solving techniques that we use, the mirror of the mind. It is one of the key visualization techniques used in the Silva method, and it is designed to help you transform your challenges into solutions. Sometimes in class, I know we say to transform your problems into projects because projects are a little bit easier to work on than problems. And we do this by engaging our mind's creative and problem solving abilities. So, Ken, this is a big topic. This is one of the key techniques that we use, problem solving technique, when we enter that alpha state and access our creative problem solving abilities. And it is one of my favorites. How about you?
Yeah, Amy, it's so good to be back together again, our episodes. Absolutely. I think of it as the ultimate reframing technique and or the ultimate self-improvement technique. So the foundation, the principles are very solid. In some ways, they're age old. And now even with respect to science and neuroscience, where there's so much evidence coming out about how we're reprogramming, rewiring the brain, so to speak, by creating new patterns of behavior and the value. So keep in mind, and Amy, I know you know this, we're going to do our best, folks, to keep this sort of short and sweet. And just know that in this silver class, we spend 4 days, 40 hours. It's a 40-hour training. So there's a more than an hour, hour and a half of deep dive into this applications, how to use it. So if you're already familiar with it, you read the book, excellent. This will help to clarify some of the common mistakes people make or misunderstandings or even some of the myths that they might have about it. So how about I begin and just jump in with that?
Absolutely.
Uh, quick familiarity review is you're creating this mirror image of yourself. You want to always do this in a quiet, relaxed state. Why is that important? In this quiet, relaxed state, which has become known as alpha and theta with the original alpha theta training, it's like turning on your supercomputer. You're becoming like a child in terms of your consciousness, where we learn faster, learn easier. No myth about that. That's fact. When you're relaxed, you learn better. So while in this state, we're more open, we're more suggestible with this. And well, I'm thinking of something. There's a lot of research, a lot of experiments, and one simple one. I don't recall specifically, I think it was Harvard, a Harvard study. It was a major university study. And there are countless examples like this that go back to the times of Maxwell Maltz and psychocybernetics when he had basketball players improve the free throw by simply mentally rehearsing their ideal shot, with this for 15 minutes a day. And this experiment, so forgive me, I usually have more detail, but I ran through it quickly.
Yeah.
When something like this, that for 2 weeks, every day for I think it was 2 hours, people, two groups. One group physically played the piano, simple chords. The other group, 2 hours a day, 2 weeks, did it in their mind. They made believe. So they mentally rehearsed, they visualized, they thought of it. And if you're not that visual, then just describe it. Have a sense of knowing as if you're there. You don't have to be visual, by the way, because not everybody is that proficient visually, as if they're doing the simple chords. What was fascinating was after they did this 2 weeks, and when they did brain scans, of course, the people who practice physically, their brain made the connections as if they what you would expect when they're actually practicing. However, the group that only did it mentally made the same kinds of connections. So of course you do both. And for many of you, this is not news. If ever you watch the Olympics, you see it in evidence there, the athletes sitting there with their earbuds in and listening and going through a guided meditation or mentally rehearsing their moves.
Mhm.
So this is why, as Amy said before, it's probably the most popular of techniques, and it's especially good for everyday types of challenges. So, for example, uh, quiet, relaxed, as if out here, what we call the mental screen, framed first in blue. The symbology why blue is because white light, considered 100% of the energy, white does have an energetic measurement.
Mhm.
But when you diffuse it through a prism, blue is just one small part. It has much less of the energy. So the symbology is we're putting whatever we give attention to, we give energy to. So we're putting a minimum amount of energy and attention into the current reality. It's not always a problem, or the challenge, or the concern, or the worry that we might have.
Right.
We do it once and only once. And part of what Amy and I are on this mission together is there are, without mentioning, I'll be respectful, there are a lot of watered down versions that even sometimes fellow instructors in other parts of the world, and they are people who have very limited experience, have not had proper training. I'm embarrassed to say I can't control that, and they're not teaching it correctly. So if you've heard that, you do it once and only once. Once you've acknowledged it, and that's key, you do need to acknowledge it, the circumstance, how it affects you in your life, however long it takes to do that, then you erase it any way you can, change your thinking, and you move it to the left, the mirror. There's progress, there's movement. Not the time or the place, but it's high level research that Mr. Jose Silva did with respect to how to improve the efficacy of the technique. It's the symbology there. So you're moving it. And then you frame it in white, 100% of the energy. And that would be the beauty, the desired outcome, the way you want to be, even though you don't yet know how you're going to get there. You do need to know, you do need to have a plan. And invariably, when you're clear about your goal, what it is you want, that outcome, and you're focused on that and not stuck wallowing in the problem. See, when people keep going over the problem, they're inadvertently mentally rehearsing what they don't want. And that's why once you've acknowledged it, you're done.
Yeah.
The more you do that, the more energy you put, and whatever you give energy to will grow and multiply. So anytime you think of the goal you have, you want to imagine in the white frame. And even ideally, the white frame image is done once. Realistically, you need to repeat it,
Mhm.
but you got to be careful. And here's the dance we do that we teach you in the classes, and we teach our students how to overcome this is not to become obsessed with it. Because obsessive energy is fear based, it's survival based, it doesn't work. So you've got to surrender to the process and give it just enough energy. So typically, as often as you think about it, invariably, then you attract people, places, situations, or you have inspiration, meaningful coincidences that help you to fulfill, the plan of action, whatever steps need to be taken. How about that? What you want to add? I can see
I
Amy. You
love
want to add?
I love that because that was definitely at its core everything that we teach. And one of the things that I do, I know you do it too, Ken, is that if I said right now, I know we say this in class, whatever you do, don't think of elephants parachuting to the ground with bright, beautiful, uh, different multicolored parachutes. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Whatever you do, don't do it. And we asked the class, "Hey, what what happened?" And everybody imagines that, right? I think a lot of times we get so caught up imagining and worrying and, oh my goodness, if we stayed here in this problem, the problem we don't want, our imagination can get the best of us. And instead of moving away from the problem, we're stuck in it. And this particular technique gives us structure. In the past interview that we did, the past question video that we did, we talked about visualization and imagination because those are the two faculties of genius, as Mr. Silva called it, that we use in our problem solving techniques. And this takes what we talked about and then puts more of a structure to it because our brains love structure because it's easy. It requires less energy once you learn the structure. And it helps us move from what we don't want to what we do want. And if you think about, well, do I go back to the blue frame? Think to yourself, well, do you want to go back to the problem? The answer, hopefully, is no. And you stay in the solution. And I love what you were saying about, some of the nuancing that we talk about in class regarding the white frame because it does take some nuancing, right? If it feels like tension, then I would let it wait, right? Because sometimes there's this thing, I heard it called manic manifesting, where we're so worried about it and we've solved it, but oh my goodness, I gotta do the white frame today. 2 minutes later, I gotta do the white frame. 2 minutes later, I do white frame. Just thinking about that actually it makes me a little stressed out. So if you see how it feels in your body, if you're feeling stressed, acknowledge it and let it marinate, let it wait.
And
So I just wanted to add those two
that's
things.
brilliant. Breathe through it. And I like that. I had not heard the term manic manifesting. People confuse passion, heartfelt passion, strong desire with obsession. And obsessiveness does not work. Obsessiveness comes from fear. It's fear-based again and survival. So it's really a dance that you're doing. It's a skill set that needs to be practiced and developed because let's face it, we care very deeply about something. So it's
Mhm.
the dance that we do. I want to also add what Amy brought up before. Go back on the channel, our YouTube channels, you'll see that imagination is far more important, frankly, in my opinion and experience, than visualization. Because
Mhm.
what's the saying? I don't recall who said it, but imagination is the preview of things to come in your life. What you spend time imagining, thinking about, again, because we know whatever we give attention to, we give energy to, whatever we give energy to will be multiplied. And what people don't need to remember is whatever we imaginate, ruminate on, think about, reflect on, we're mentally rehearsing and we're giving energy to it. And we're mentally what we don't want,
Yeah.
essentially. So imagination is a way of conceiving of the possibility of your ideal self emerging. Good thing to do in the morning. I've heard so many people call it priming. That's what priming is. In the morning, you're preparing for the day, centering yourself, getting everything in coherence, and then you're mentally visualizing, imagining your ideal self as it relates to the important goals, tasks you have for the day.
Right.
And there's other steps too that we build on in the class about then what do you do at the end of the day as far as reviewing and then building on that, which is another whole topic in itself. So that's I would say really key is love yourself enough to do it and know when to stop and release it and allow the process.
Let it go. And some ways to release it are to go to sleep, to take deep breaths, to
Mm.
do do something else, go outside, right? So any type of any type of pattern interrupter really can help with that. And I want to touch very briefly on the science behind what you were mentioning regarding imagination. Whatever we imagine, as you put it, whatever we give attention to, we give energy to, whatever we give energy to grows and multiplies. And the science and the reasoning behind that is that when we are imagining something, we are programming into our brain almost like a GPS coordinate. And our brain, via what we have, it's called the reticular activating system, says, okay, I got it. This is what we want. And it's a filtering system in our brain that filters the information that is coming in, that we're looking at, that we're hearing, that we're seeing, that we're experiencing to guide us to what it is that we want. Oh, you want a new car? Okay, I'm on the lookout. It's one of the reasons why, if you all of a sudden want to buy a new car, you start seeing the cars maybe that you're choosing from everywhere. So there is a science behind that. And so it's really important that when you are imagining and thinking about your goal, to be as clear as possible. And if you're not clear, we've got some techniques for that too. We'll cover those in later videos. However, it's super important to be as clear as possible, because our brain says, okay, this is what you want. So I wanted to add that piece in because we're literally like programming. It's like putting in that destination in your GPS when you're driving. Super important.
Excellent. So I think this is a good place for us to wrap up. And may I just add, by the way, Amy Schneider is our Silva instructor in Atlanta and Northwestern North Carolina,
Yeah.
Nashville to be specific. Hey,
Yes,
remember. And then
exactly.
myself, my name is Ken Coscia. You say Coscia is how we pronounce it. I serve in several capacities. I started in 71. I'm the lead instructor, the training director, and I offer this program, what we call the immersion of Silver Life and Intuition System. Amy in Atlanta and North Carolina, and myself, Connecticut, well, New England, Boston, anywhere in New England, and also in Chicago area outside there, in addition to doing graduate programs. So thank you so much for staying with us, a video. And Amy, if I may just add this, if you
Sure.
have questions or and you'd like some clarity, we're happy to address that. That's part of what we're looking here to, those frequently asked questions that maybe when you read the book or you're doing the home study all by yourself, oh, who do you ask? So we'd like to provide that because we got a lot of work to do to help make this a better world to live in. So, Amy, so good to be here again with you.
It's so good to be here with you too. Thank you so much, Ken, as always, for uh, just being on these videos and helping us spread all of the love we can.
My pleasure. All right, kiddo. You take care until the next time.
Take care. You too. Bye.